I'm here to present AB 931, the Police Accountability and Community Protection Act. This bill seeks to change California's legal standard for when police can use deadly force to match best practices already in place at some departments. The power of the police officers is to use deadly force is perhaps the most significant responsibility we confer on any public official, and it must be guided by the goals of safeguarding human life. However, current law sanctions police use of deadly force even when officers do not face an imminent threat to life or bodily security, and even when officers have reasonable alternatives at their disposal to safely address a situation without taking anyone's life. California's existing law governing when a homicide by an officer is, quote, justified was written in 1872. This code, being the single oldest unamended use of force statute in the country, not only fails to include best practices, but authorize deadly force that violates the U.S. Constitution. This results in police killing more people in California than in any other state. In 2017, officers shot and killed 162 people in California, only half of whom were armed with guns, and killed more than 20 others using other types of force.
Let me just think back for a moment. 2014, August 9th, Michael Brown in Ferguson, Missouri. And we all saw that as a nation. I remember getting called by some friends and flying out to Ferguson and walking the streets and really getting a feel for what was going on. And coming back to Sacramento and being said, well, that's not Sacramento. Ferguson isn't Sacramento. And I remember saying, okay, you know, let's have some dialogue about it. And after talking with some police fellows, one of them said, Michael Brown had it coming. And I had to say to him, so a young man loses his life over a pack of cigarettes or some false accusation. And he said, yeah, he had it coming. And then in Sacramento, Joseph Mann happened. In Sacramento, Lorenzo Cruz, Dejan Flano, Ryan Ellis, Desmond Phillips, Stephon Clark.
We are willing to be part of a dialogue around use of force and work cooperatively to reduce the numbers of officer-involved shootings in the state. Right now, departments across the state are working to find solutions actively through education, training, and policies, through outreach. I don't know if everyone understands how much law enforcement has shifted over the last 7, 8, 9 years, how much we've looked inward to find out how we can do better, how we can reach these communities and be community police that we want to be and are and should be. However, 931 is a dangerous proposal. What it fails to understand is that the current legal standard is meant to look at a split-second decision by an officer. As the Supreme Court has understood in defining the current legal standard, that there has to be an allowance for the fact that police officers are required to make split-second judgments in circumstances that are tense, uncertain, and rapidly evolving about the amount of force that is necessary in a particular situation. Anything above that puts our officers in an untenable position, and for that reason we are opposed.
This bill by Assemblymember Dr. Weber is a really nationwide solution. And of course, you just heard that more people are killed in California than in any other state.
The opposition has spoken to the fact that there is a necessity for training. I agree, there is a necessity for training. I do think law enforcement officers require training in order to learn how to de-escalate themselves. But they also speak to the fact that they believe that it's unreasonable to train them in time enough for an officer to make a decision. Well, we're talking about a statute that has not been addressed since the 1800s, and so we've had sufficient time to address the matter, and more lives are being lost every day when officers go untrained. So I agree with them in the sense that training is necessary, but we can't wait for more officers to take our lives, the lives of our black and brown young people, until they get up to speed. We have to demand that those changes take place.